Welcome back to Old School Sports and our OOTP 22 game with the Miami Marlins. We are at the start of the 2027 season and need to achieve a winning record this year, and we're going about it in a bit of a different way. The kids are coming. We've been running the franchise for 6 years, 6 consecutive amateur drafts that we've been in charge of. And we have a lot of reinforcements this year that are making our major league roster. When you look at our 26-man roster, there's 7 younger players and or draftees that are on the roster for us. So we're hoping that our young pitchers and our young batters will ultimately deliver us a better season than we have had in recent years. Going down the crew, Matt Olson was drafted in our initial draft in 2021. Wasn't picked until the 22nd round, but you can see he's got electric stuff in 3 great pitches, and he is slotting into our rotation this year. Another one of the youngsters is Greg Wallace, who was our first-round pick in 2024, number 73 prospect in the game. Had a good year in Jacksonville last season, and we're going to see what he can do in the major leagues this year. And then the last youngster to highlight is Dante Cuba, who was our second-round pick in 2025. Came up midway through last season and just showed electric stuff, taking over our closer, primarily as our closer. Ended up with 13 saves, a 2.41 ERA, 163 ERA plus, and 56 FIP minus, with 53 strikeouts in just 33 innings. So obviously has incredible stuff and incredible movement. The issue is, does he know where it's going? You can see that he did walk 22 batters in those 33 innings. So he certainly makes things exciting. Moving to our lineup, we've got 4 young players that have come up through our system we wanted to highlight. Jesus Galiz is not one of them. As I mentioned at the end of our last show, we picked him up in the Rule 5 draft, number 98 prospect in the game. He looks like Mattingly is going to start him at catcher over Austin Hedges, who is obviously better defensively, but a little older. We'll see how that goes. But the youngsters to highlight here, Zingy Sabatino, 9th round pick in 2023, number 70 prospect in the game. Is going to be getting a lot of time at second base and backup shortstop for us, and maybe even playing third a little too. Peyton Stovall, a first-round pick in 2021, has been up for a year and a half at this point, but should have a more prominent role this season. Could end up seeing significant action at second base and third base. Probably the best contact hitter that we have at the major league level at this point. And then Jet Williams, who was our number 1 pick just 2 seasons ago, 2025, number 89 prospect in the game. He is likely going to be our starting shortstop. Not an incredible defensive player, but certainly a better bat potential than we've had with Freddie Galvis there in recent years. Last year only hit 245 in Jacksonville, did hit a little higher, 261 at AA. We will see what he's able to do. And then the last is Mo Hampton Jr., who has as much experience as any of these guys, starting center fielder last year after coming up at the end of 2025. But he was also a former first-round draft pick in 2023. So the players that we have been investing in our minor league system for the last several years are here. Let's see how much help they can give us. And as the season begins, we just got the rankings of the annual minor league systems, and you can see that the Marlins were up to 3rd overall. Have several younger players who aren't up with the major club in the minors that have a lot of potential. And then Sabatino, who we also mentioned, but definitely, and Wallace, who is joining the major league team this year. So our top 3 prospects are still in the lower minors, but Sabatino and Wallace are with the big club. Well, a month into the season and things are going okay. We're 13 and 12, slightly above 500, but we've been playing a lot worse more recently, unfortunately. But the youth movement seems to be paying off. Is Zingy Sabatino was the NL. Sorry, Sabatino having a great month, hitting 344 with 2 doubles, a triple, and 5 homers. So making good progress on that end. As I mentioned, the team was really doing incredibly well until more recently. You can see 3 and 7, and we've lost 6 in a row. So we were really battling for the division until then. But we will see if we can keep the momentum going as we strive for a winning season, which would be only our second in 7 years as GM of the club. Well, we're midway through the season and we're barely hanging on to a 500 record, but we're only a game and a half out of first place. The NL East has a ton of parity right now. You can see 2.5 games from the top to the bottom of the division, so we are certainly in the action as far as potentially earning a playoff spot there. The wild card with both the Padres, Rockies, and Dodgers all having good seasons out in the NL West is a lot more competitive. So we actually are in the playoff mix. Doesn't mean that our owner is particularly thrilled with us. Barely achieving a winning record, haven't really upgraded first base sufficiently. Positively, we are up to 9th in batting average from 14th, which is some progress. The young players that we brought on have been doing a pretty good job for us. We've had some injuries, as you always do, but when we look at the lineup and how the offense is working, Zingy Sabatino is potentially on his way to a Rookie of the Year type season, 2.6 WAR midway through the season. Mike Brousseau, who was a free agent signing for us, having a pretty nice year, 16 homers, 47 RBIs. Michael Lorenzen, after being injured all of last season, is finally playing for us, hitting 288, probably not as much power as we would have hoped. And then Jet Williams, our rookie shortstop, not hitting very much, but still positive overall with a 1.2 WAR. The rest of the team has been more mixed, and the biggest disappointment is that Jesus Sanchez, our starting right fielder, got injured after only 8 games and has been on the disabled list most of the season, still close to 2 months away from having him in the back in the lineup. The good thing is that he should be around to help us with the playoff push if and when we are still in contention, hopefully by the time he gets back. Looking at pitching, a few standouts among the younger people, which I'll highlight. Dante Cuba, our flame-throwing closer, is got 18 saves and a 1.65 ERA, 0.86 WHIP, and a WAR of close to 2. Matt Olson, another rookie, was pitching decently with a 1.3 WAR through 11 games, but then he suffered an injury and he's going to be out for the rest of the season, unfortunately. And then Matthew Boyd, our big free agent signing in the offseason, has been okay. Short stint on the DL, 4.10 ERA, 5-4 record. We're paying more to him than he's actually worth, but he certainly hasn't been bad. You can see in general all of our pitchers just about are at least doing a little bit above replacement level, which is something. So looking at the team stats, you can see our offense is still not great, but more middle of the pack in general than the bottom of the barrel, where we've spent a lot of time in recent years. And our pitching, mixed. Some things we're incredible in. Bullpen ERA we're second, WAR we're second. As I mentioned, very few people, performing worse than a replacement level player there. Best in the league in home runs allowed. Still very hard. Still very stingy in terms of giving up walks. So there are good things. We are in the playoff race, and we're going to continue plugging along and see how the rest of the season goes. Well, the calendar just flipped to August, and we're still hanging in there. We're 55 and 50, so above 500, 3.5 games back in third place in the NL East. Zingy Sabatino just won Rookie of the Month for the second time, so his season has been pretty solid. You can see here, offensively, hitting close to 300, OPS of over 800, 126 OPS plus, while playing primarily second base for us. It's really been good to have some of the young players up. I think they've been much more cost effective, and it's good to kind of see the work that we've done in the minor league system over the past several seasons starting to hopefully pay some dividends. Didn't do anything at the trade deadline. We are really up against it as far as our budget. So unless people were willing to retain a large amount of the salary, or essentially all of the salary in some cases, there wasn't much for us to do. Wander Franco was available at the age of 26 in his final season before hitting free agency. Obviously would have been great to add him to the team, but we were not willing to mortgage our entire future for a potential run at a maybe one and done in the playoffs. So we will be back as we get through the month of August, but we're hanging in there at this point. Well, we've made it to September, and things are definitely getting interesting. You can see that we are now 72 and 61, been playing very well lately, and that means that we are in first place in the NL East as we head into the final month of the season. But still an extremely competitive division. You can see only 6.5 games separating first from last. So while feel pretty good that we're going to at least end up with a winning season, there's definitely no guarantee that we're going to be in the playoffs. And you can see that Washington is 4.5 out, which would mean that we would be 4 out of the wild card. So winning the division is going to be the most likely path that we'll have to take to the title if we're able to win the NL East. We will see what happens, but definitely feeling good that we've had a better season now, and we're at least competitive as we head into the final stretch of the season. Well, the battle for the playoff remains intense. You can see that we're now a game and a half behind the Nationals at 78 and 69. Unfortunately, we just had a major loss to our team, probably our top starter, Edward Bazardo. Shoulder inflammation, out for the next 3 months. You can see he went 12 and 8 for us this year, 3.63 ERA, 1.14 ERA plus. Just another good solid season from him with a 2.3 WAR. Definitely not going to be great to have him on the injured list as we are heading into the home stretch of the season, but we've got reinforcements in the minors, and we're going to do the best that we can. Played a few more days. We're still in second place, but we're closer to fourth than we are to first, unfortunately. We're playing 500 ball down the stretch. Certainly the division is still within our grasp. You can see that we're 6.5 out of the wild card, so overcoming the Marlins is going to be the only path we have into the playoffs. Looking at our schedule, you see where we just lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals. I may have called them the Marlins. So we've got Toronto, St. Louis, and then the Braves left as we finish up September. And then in October, we'll be finishing with the Mets. So that was our last chance at the Nats. Should definitely end up with a winning season, which is progress. But obviously, when you're this close and you've been struggling as much as we have, we would love to actually be able to be playing in October, meaning the playoffs. Well, we're to the final week of the season, and it's going to be an incredible finish here in the NL East. You can see that there are 4 teams separated by just 2 games in the standings, including us. We are 1 win away from at least having a winning record, but clearly when we're this close, we want to get across the finish line. The schedule is not horrible for us. The Nationals are on the road against Atlanta and the Mets for their final 6 games, so there's certainly, opportunities for both Atlanta and the Mets to get better. or to get some wins and make up some ground. Best case for us is probably for, I guess with Atlanta being a game ahead of us and the Mets being tied with us, we probably want Atlanta to win against the Nationals 2-1 and the Mets to win the series against the Nationals 2-1. Looking at our schedule, we have losing it there. We have the Cardinals. We're on the road against the Cardinals. We just played the Cardinals. We finish up home against Atlanta, which is good, and then at the Mets. So we're playing the teams outside of Washington that we are competing with. We're going to sim this day by day to see how these final weeks of these final days of the season go. Not going to sim the actual games, but just going to do it here in real time. So we'll see the reaction as we, try to win a game to head above 500, but more importantly, probably need to win 5 or 6 games to claim the division. We're off yesterday. Today we're going up against Atlanta, against a 7-9 pitcher with a 4.57 ERA. So definitely a chance to win that one. As I said, won't be simming the games actually, specifically, but we got Murakami on the mound, who is our star, 10-8, 3.51 ERA, good second season here in the United States. So let's see how that goes. Ooh, lost 5-1. That hurts. Now up against a 8-16 pitcher with a 4 ERA. 2 home games left. We're 3 games out. We really need to win this one. Oof, falling apart. Lost 6-8. Last game of the homestand. Let's see what happens. And as we're at the end of the month, there's a lot going on in the background, so apologies that you have to watch that spinning. Okay, well, good. We did win the final game of the homestand, but we were still eliminated. That means that the Nationals must have won, so that's definitely a bummer that it's all over at this point. Yet we're 4 games out with 3 games to go, so the best we can hope for is to win a few of these games against the Mets and hopefully, get to 84 or 85 wins. Would certainly love to win the series, even though it's on the road. Won the first game in 13 innings. Looks like that one was a thriller. Won the second game too, so we're making it close, but obviously not going to be in the playoffs. Clearwater beat Jupiter, so our seasons are ending for our minor league affiliates also. Last game of the season. Let's see what happens. Lost 2-3 to kind of finish the regular season, so it's over. It was a solid season for us in terms of finally getting back to a winning record. You can see the second best record, second best winning percentage we've had since we started. So that was definitely progress. We will do kind of a full recap on the season in our next episode, but just looking at the team statistics and what went well and what went wrong. Definitely faded a bit on offense over the second half of the season compared to when we checked in. But our pitching ended up pretty darn strong, which is good because we had a lot of young pitchers that we talked about, and most of the pitching staff is signed up for the next few years. And we don't have a real bad salary situation. We've got $28 million in extensions, which means that when we get to next off season, we're going to have the ability to hopefully add some players. So we'll do a full recap on the stats of our players and how the season went in our next episode. I guess it's good. We made progress. A winning season. We'll see how it shakes out in terms of keeping our job. Thank you so much for watching, and look forward to our next episode when we'll talk about the 2027 season and look forward to our plans for free agency in 2028.